What happens when a beloved talk show host faces off against royalty gone rogue? In just 39 seconds, one arrogant comment would turn a simple interview into television chaos, exposing an entitled prince who thought he was above the rules. Jon Stewart sat across from Prince Harry in the studio, the lights bright and hot as always. The audience settled into their seats, expecting the usual charm and wit that Stewart brought to every interview. But tonight would be different. Tonight would become one of the most shocking moments in talk show history. Stewart smiled warmly as the cameras started rolling. "Welcome to the show. It's great to have you here." Harry leaned back in his chair, a smirk playing across his face. "Well, I suppose it's an honor for you to have me?" The audience laughed nervously. Stewart's smile flickered for just a moment. "An honor for me? That's one way to look at it." "Come now," Harry said, waving his hand dismissively. "You know exactly what I mean. How often do you get actual royalty on this little program of yours?" Stewart shifted in his seat. His expression remained friendly, but something changed in his eyes. "Little program? We've been on the air for years. Millions of people watch this, little program. Millions of Americans, perhaps," Harry replied, examining his fingernails. "Back home, we don't really pay much attention to American talk shows. They're all a bit common, aren't they?" The audience gasped. A few people whispered to each other. Stewart's producer could be seen off camera, looking worried. Stewart kept his composure. "Common. Interesting choice of words coming from someone who's been all over American media for the past few years." Harry's face hardened. "That's different. When I speak, people actually listen. I have something important to say. These shows are usually just filler, entertainment for people who don't have anything better to do." Stewart nodded slowly, processing what he'd just heard. "So let me get this straight. You came on my show, which you think is common and filler, to tell my audience, who apparently have nothing better to do, about what exactly? How special you are." "I came here as a favor," Harry shot back. "My publicist thought it would be good for your ratings. And let's be honest, you need me more than I need you." The studio went completely silent. Even the crew stopped moving. Stewart leaned forward, his hands clasped together. "A favor," Stewart repeated. "You're doing me a favor by being here." "Precisely," Harry said, completely missing the edge in Stewart's voice. "Do you know how many interview requests I turned down? I could be anywhere right now. I could be on any show, but I chose yours." Stewart smiled, but it wasn't his usual warm smile. "And I'm supposed to be grateful." "Well, yes," Harry said matter-of-factly. "That's generally how these things work. I bring prestige. I bring viewers. I bring legitimacy to your program." Stewart sat back in his chair. "Legitimacy. From you. The guy who left his own family. The guy who's been on every talk show, podcast, and streaming special complaining about how hard your life is. That legitimacy?" Harry's face turned red. "Excuse me? Do you know who you're talking to?" "Yeah, I do," Stewart said calmly. "I'm talking to a guest on my show. A guest who seems to think he's doing me some kind of favor by showing up and insulting everything I've built." "I'm not just a guest," Harry snapped. "I'm a prince. I was born into royalty. I have a title. What do you have? A desk and some jokes?" The audience booed. Actually booed. Harry looked around, seemingly surprised by the reaction. Stewart's jaw tightened. "You're right. I just have a desk and some jokes, and 20 years of hard work, and respect from my peers, and loyalty from my audience. But yeah, you've got a title you were born into. Totally the same thing. This is ridiculous," Harry said, starting to stand up. "I don't have to sit here and be disrespected by some comedian." "Sit down," Stewart said firmly. "You wanted to be here, remember? You wanted the platform. Well, here it is. But it comes with something you might not be used to. Accountability. Harry slowly sat back down, his face flushed with anger. Accountability? For what? For the things you say, Stewart explained. For the way you treat people. You come on my show, insult me, insult my crew, insult my audience, and then act shocked when someone pushes back. That might work in your world, but not here. My world is reality, Harry said coldly. Your world is fantasy. You make jokes for a living. I actually matter. Stewart laughed, but there was no humor in it. You actually matter. Tell me something. What have you done lately that matters? And I don't mean giving interviews about yourself. I mean actually helping people. Actually making a difference. I've raised awareness, Harry insisted. I've spoken out about mental health, about the press, about privacy. While doing press tours, Stewart interjected. While invading your own privacy for money. While selling out your family on every platform that'll have you. That kind of awareness? Harry stood up again, this time more forcefully. I don't need to explain myself to you. You're nobody. You're just another American with a camera and an opinion. And you're just another guest who forgot that respect goes both ways, Stewart fired back, also standing. I treat my guests with dignity. I give them a platform. I listen to what they have to say. But I won't sit here and let you talk down to me or anyone else in this building. Talk down? Harry laughed bitterly. I'm simply stating facts. I am literally above you. That's not an insult. That's hierarchy. That's the natural order. Stewart shook his head. The natural order. In America, we don't really believe in that. We kind of fought a whole war about it. Maybe you've heard of it? 1776? Didn't go so well for your family. The audience erupted in applause and cheers. Harry's face went from red to almost purple. How dare you, Harry sputtered. How dare you bring up? That's completely inappropriate. Inappropriate? Stewart raised his eyebrows. You've spent the last 10 minutes telling me how beneath you I am, how common my show is, how you're doing me a favor by breathing the same air as me, and I'm the one being inappropriate? I'm a prince of the United Kingdom, Harry said through gritted teeth. You will show me respect. Respect is earned, Stewart said simply, and you came in here with none for anyone. Why should anyone give it to you? Because of who your grandmother was? Because of a title? That's not how the real world works. Harry pointed his finger at Stewart. You have no idea what the real world is like. You sit in your comfortable studio, protected by your producers and your audience, making fun of people. That's not real. That's not hard. And what you do is hard, Stewart challenged. Flying first class to give interviews about how tough you have it? Staying in 5-star hotels while you tell people about your struggles? Please. You want to talk about hard? Talk to the people in this audience. Talk to my crew. They work actual jobs. They pay actual bills. They don't have trust funds and royal connections to fall back on. This is absurd, Harry said, his voice rising. I came here in good faith. No, you didn't, Stewart cut him off. You came here thinking you'd get an easy ride, that I'd fawn over you like everyone else apparently does, that you could say whatever you wanted without consequences. But that's not how this works. Harry looked around desperately, as if searching for someone to rescue him. Is anyone going to do something about this? Is this how you treat all your guests? Only the ones who treat us like servants, Stewarty replied. I've had presidents on this show, world leaders, celebrities, authors, scientists. And you know what? Not one of them acted like being here was beneath them. Not one of them told me I should be grateful. Because they understood something you clearly don't. And what's that? Harry demanded. That a conversation is a two-way street, Stewart said. That just because you're famous doesn't mean you're important. And that respect, real respect, has nothing to do with titles or birthright. Harry's hands were shaking. I've heard enough of this. I'm leaving. Nobody's stopping you, Stewart said, gesturing toward the exit. The door's right there. But before you go, let me say something. You had a chance tonight to be genuine, to be real, to actually connect with people. Instead, you chose to hide behind your title and your attitude. And that's sad, because underneath all that entitlement, there might actually be a decent person. But we'll never know, because you won't let anyone see it. Harry stood frozen for a moment, clearly torn between storming off and defending himself. Finally, he spoke, his voice low and angry. You think you're so clever, so righteous, but you're just bitter. Bitter that some people are born special and you had to claw your way up from nothing. Stewart smiled sadly. I did claw my way up, and you know what? I'm proud of that. Every success I've had, I earned. Can you say the same? I don't have to earn anything, Harry spat. I was born royal. That's worth more than anything you'll ever accomplish. And there it is, Stewart said quietly. The truth. You actually believe that. You genuinely think that the circumstances of your birth make you better than everyone else. Not your actions, not your character. Just genetics and luck. Harry's voice dropped to almost a whisper, but the microphones picked it up. It's not luck. It's destiny. It's breeding. Some people are meant to lead. Others are meant to follow. You should learn your place. The audience was dead silent now. Even Stewart seemed momentarily stunned by the comment. My place, Stewart repeated slowly. Learn my place. Okay, here's what I know about places. I know that the greatest people I've ever met never had to tell anyone how great they were. I know that real leaders lift others up instead of putting them down. And I know that anyone who has to constantly remind people of their title probably doesn't deserve it. Harry turned and started walking toward the exit. I'm done here. This is beneath me. Everything's beneath you, apparently, Stewart called after him. That's your problem. You're so busy looking down on everyone that you can't see you're alone up there. Harry stopped and turned back. At least I'm not a court jester begging for laughs. Better a jester who makes people happy than a prince who makes everyone miserable. Stewart shot back. At least when I'm done working, people feel better. What do you leave people with? Resentment? Disappointment? A sense that they wasted their time? I leave them with the truth, Harry said defiantly. Your truth, Stewart corrected. Your version of events, your grievances, your complaints, but never any accountability. Never any admission that maybe, just maybe, you played a part in your own problems. Harry's lip curled. You don't know anything about my problems. You're right, I don't, Stewart agreed. Because every time you talk about them, it's everyone else's fault. The press, your family, the public, never you. It's always someone else who failed you. Someone else who let you down. Someone else who didn't understand. But you never look in the mirror, do you? This conversation is over, Harry announced. It was over the moment you walked in here thinking you were better than everyone, Stewart said. The only difference is, now everyone else knows it too. Harry pointed at the cameras. Turn those off. Turn them off right now. The cameras kept rolling. Stewart shrugged. This is a live show. Millions of people are watching. You wanted the platform, remember? You wanted people to pay attention. Well, they're paying attention now. I'll have you shut down, Harry threatened. Do you have any idea what kind of connections I have? What kind of power I can bring to bear? Stewart laughed genuinely for the first time in minutes. There it is again. Threats, power, connections. That's all you have, isn't it? You can't win an argument on merit, so you threaten people. You can't earn respect, so you demand it. You can't handle criticism, so you try to silence it. I'm warning you, Harry said, his voice shaking with rage. Warn away, Stewart replied calmly. I'm not scared of you. I'm not impressed by you. And I'm definitely not going to bow to you. This is America. We don't do that here. Harry looked like he might actually explode. His face was completely red now, his hands balled into fists. "You'll regret this. You'll regret every word you've said tonight." "I doubt it," Stewart said. "But you know what you might regret? Coming on this show and showing everyone who you really are. Because once people see it, they can't unsee it. And all the PR teams and image consultants in the world can't put that genie back in the bottle." Harry opened his mouth to respond, but nothing came out. He stood there, speechless, as the reality of what had just happened seemed to sink in. Stewart took a breath and addressed the cameras directly. "Folks, I apologize for what you're witnessing here. This isn't how interviews usually go, but sometimes when someone shows you who they are, you have to believe them. And tonight, our guest has shown us exactly who he is. Someone who thinks a title makes him special. Someone who looks down on regular people. Someone who can dish it out, but can't take it." "Stop talking," Harry said weakly. "No," Stewart replied simply. "You came here to talk, so we're talking. You wanted attention. You're getting it. Just not the kind you expected." Harry turned away, his shoulders slumped. For a moment, he looked less like a defiant prince and more like a defeated man. "Here's the thing," Stewart continued, his voice softer now. "You could have come here tonight and had a real conversation. You could have been honest, vulnerable, human. People respond to that. They connect with it. But instead, you chose arrogance. You chose superiority. And now you're walking away having accomplished nothing except confirming what a lot of people already suspected." Harry didn't turn around. He just stood there, facing the exit. "You know what the saddest part is?" Stewart asked. "You'll probably blame this on me, on the show, on America, on anyone but yourself. You'll tell people I ambushed you or disrespected you or didn't understand you. And maybe some people will believe it, but everyone who watched tonight will know the truth. They'll have seen it with their own eyes." Finally, Harry turned back one last time. His voice was cold and empty. "You're not worth my time." "Maybe not," Stewart acknowledged. "But at least I know my worth doesn't come from a title or a bloodline. It comes from what I do, how I treat people, the work I put in. That's something you can't understand, because you've never had to." Harry walked toward the exit without another word. The studio was so quiet you could hear his footsteps echoing. He reached the door, pushed it open, and disappeared into the hallway beyond. Stewart stood alone on the stage, looking at the empty chair across from him. The audience didn't know whether to applaud or stay silent. After a long moment, Stewart turned to face them. "Well," he said with a tired smile, "that happened." A few nervous laughs rippled through the crowd. Stewart sat back down at his desk, straightening his papers. "You know, we had a whole interview planned," he said conversationally. "Questions about his life, his work, his experiences, real substantive stuff. But sometimes the most revealing moments aren't the ones you plan for. Sometimes people tell you everything you need to know in the first 5 minutes." The audience began to clap, slowly at first, then building to a standing ovation. Stewart waved them off. "Don't applaud me," he said. "I didn't do anything special. I just refused to pretend that disrespect was acceptable, that entitlement was charming, that being born into privilege was the same as earning it." He paused, looking directly into the camera. "And to anyone watching at home who's ever been talked down to, who's ever been made to feel less than, who's ever been told their place by someone who thinks they're better than you, I want you to know something. You don't have to accept it. You don't have to smile and nod. You don't have to make yourself smaller so someone else can feel bigger." The audience erupted again. Stewart smiled genuinely this time. "We live in a world where some people think their last name or their bank account or their connections make them superior. But here's the truth. Character isn't inherited. Dignity isn't purchased. Respect isn't demanded. These things are earned through actions, through choices, through how we treat the people around us. He shuffled his papers again, a familiar gesture that signaled the show moving on. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have a guest who actually wants to be here and knows how to have a conversation like a human being. Stay with us. The cameras pulled back as the show went to commercial. The audience was buzzing, people turning to each other in disbelief. The crew gathered around Stewart, checking to see if he was okay. "I'm fine," he assured them. "Just, wow, that was something." His producer approached, looking concerned. "Are we going to have legal issues with this?" Stewart shrugged. "Maybe. Probably. But it was all on camera. Everyone saw what happened. He came in acting superior, and when someone didn't bow down, he couldn't handle it." "The phones are going crazy," another producer said. "Social media is exploding. This is already everywhere." Stewart nodded slowly. "I figured it would be. That's what happens when you show your true colors on live television." "Do you think he'll respond?" someone asked. "Oh, he'll respond," Stewart said with certainty. "He'll have a statement, or a spokesperson will. They'll say I was disrespectful, that I ambushed him, that this was all edited or taken out of context, but it won't matter. People saw what they saw." The makeup artist came over to touch up Stewart's face before they went back on air. He sat still, his mind clearly elsewhere. "You okay, John?" she asked quietly. "Yeah," he said after a moment. "I just keep thinking about what he said, about learning my place. Like the world is still divided into those who matter and those who don't. It's such an outdated, toxic way of thinking." "But you called him out on it," she reminded him. "You didn't let him get away with it." "Someone had to," Stewart said. "Because if we just nod along when people act like that, we're saying it's okay. We're saying some people really are better than others. And I don't believe that. I never have." The floor manager started the countdown. 30 seconds to air. Stewart took a deep breath and composed himself. "Here we go again," he muttered. The cameras came back on. Stewart's face shifted into his professional mode, that perfect blend of warmth and wit that had made him a household name. "We're back," he said smoothly. "And joining me now is an actual guest who understands how conversations work." The audience laughed, the tension from earlier finally breaking. The show went on, but everyone in that studio knew they'd witnessed something extraordinary. A moment when someone had finally said what needed to be said, when entitlement met accountability and lost. Later, after the show wrapped, Stewart sat in his dressing room, still processing everything that had happened. His phone was full of messages, some supportive, some critical, some just asking what on earth had gone down. He didn't regret it. Not for a second. Because at the end of the day, his job wasn't just to make people laugh. It was to tell the truth. To ask the questions others wouldn't. To push back when pushing back was needed. And tonight, it had been needed. Tonight, someone had walked into his studio thinking their title would protect them from scrutiny, thinking their status would shield them from criticism, thinking they could say whatever they wanted without consequence. They'd been wrong, and millions of people had watched them learn that lesson in real time. It wasn't comfortable, it wasn't pleasant, but it was necessary. Stewart stood up, grabbed his coat, and headed for the door. Tomorrow, there would be fallout, statements, responses, analysis. But tonight, he'd stood his ground. He'd refused to be talked down to. He'd shown that respect goes both ways, regardless of titles or bloodlines. And really, that was all that mattered. Not the drama, not the spectacle. Just the simple principle that every human being deserves to be treated with dignity, and no one is so special that they get to ignore that rule. The studio lights dimmed as Stewart left the building. The audience had gone home. The crew had packed up. But the conversation would continue. Online, in living rooms, at water coolers. People would debate who was right and who was wrong. They'd analyze every word and gesture. But for those who'd been there, who'd felt the tension in that room, who'd watched entitlement clash with reality, the truth was obvious. Sometimes, the most important thing you can do is refuse to play along with someone's delusions of superiority. Even if they're a prince. Especially if they're a prince. Because in the end, we're all just people. Some of us just forget that more than others.